Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gamers, geezers, geeks, and people who watch Netflix. Because that's all we can do at the moment is watch Netflix. It's this week's Monkey Nut Punch podcast. And as always on his podcasting journeys, he's short and round-headed. It's Nige. Say hello, Nige.
I really thought you were going with Keith there because I'm not round.
Headed. You're round-headed, Nige. You're round-headed.
More of an oval, small child head, but I'll go with that.
And as always, the person who I can describe as the kitten stomper. It's Keith. Say hello, Keith.
All hail Team Keith. All hail Team Keith.
No.
Hello.
No, we're not hailing Team Keith.
Yes,
hello, Dave.
Yeah, you're not, but the people that are watching are. And it gets your goat, doesn't it?
Nobody's Team G.
It's not like I do anything for the podcast.
To be fair, I've had to join Team Keith because there's no Team Nige either. To be honest, so
yes, okay.
Were you like stomping on cats? Stomp on the kittens.
Stomping on the kittens. Unfortunately, I haven't got an intro for this week. I didn't have time to do it because my battery ran out my freaking mouse. Because unlike my Windows mouse that has batteries that last like a year, this has batteries that last like 3 freaking weeks, and I have to charge them up every so often. It's annoying as hell. It's a massive fault with Apple products, I'm afraid. Right, so let's get on with our first story. And our first story is Jurassic Park. Jurassic World Dominion. Start again, Gareth. Jurassic World Dominion returning star Sam Neill promises there will be screaming. Yes, Sam Neill is coming back, and he's promised that there will be screaming. In an interview with the list in the UK. Fuck. Does no one read notes? See, 3 sentences I have to read before we can all chip in to set it up.
I said nothing.
I'm blaming Keith.
No. He's having to go at Team Keith again. Tell you.
Team Keith. Fucking
Team Special K.
Special K. Anyway, in an interview with the list in the UK, Neil said that the next Jurassic World will feature there will be screaming, and we know this now. Alan Grant is nowhere to be found in the other series, and they theorised that Chris Pratt's character, Owen O'Grady, is a massive fan of Alan Grant, so that'll give him a quite interesting dynamic in the film. Even though the pandemic has stopped most productions, it is starting to ramp up back in the UK. So, Keith, what do you think about this?
Yeah, there's going to be loads of screaming of "It's shit." I didn't think very much of the middle one. I thought Jurassic World was very good. The middle one was pants. So, if it follows the tone of the other movies, this one will be slightly better, but it won't be as good as the first one of this current series. So I thought Jurassic World was good, but I really didn't like the second one. I thought the second one was just bad.
But they're going to have Sam Neill back.
Yeah, but they told me that they were going to have Jeff Goldblum back in the other one, and he was in it for all of about 2 fucking minutes. They made this big hoo-ha. Jeff Goldblum's back. It was Ian Malcolm. Yay! And he's in it at the beginning.
Was this
going,
them?
Life will find a way. And he's in it at the end of it going,
this
Life will find a way.
Was this internet pundits?
No, this was the studio. They were pushing it because he was in the trailer and everything. The studio were pushing it.
I can remember seeing him in the trailer, but I can't remember them saying they were pushing him. I can't remember that at all.
It was everywhere, them saying, because they were the ones that released that Jeff Goldblum's in it. And they made this big hoo-ha about Jeff Goldblum being in the movie. And they used him for all of about 5 seconds. Put it this way, you don't have Jeff Goldblum in a movie and fucking use him for 1 minute. It's just no point. It's Jeff fucking Goldblum.
Maybe it was an after thing where the studio looked at it and they tested it with the audiences, and then they go, "We need a hook. We need something that's gonna bring the people in." And then
because the movie.
Quick, get Jeff. Jeff,
get Jeff. There's aliens, Jeff. Get your Apple PowerBook out. We've got aliens to fight.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good. The bad guy wasn't very good. The whole, it's a cloned daughter thing, the sort of shoehorning in of this extra dot. The whole thing stunk of a very lazy sequel. and I hope the third one is better. But I'm not massively excited for this one. But I'll go and see it.
Okay.
I didn't mind the Jurassic World film with Chris Pratt. I thought it was okay. The kids loved it.
They did the Jurassic Park. That was pretty much a remake of Jurassic Park, but they took it to the logical conclusion, saying the park worked this time around. Yeah, this was not before the park opened. This was when the park opened. So I can read Dave's comments, and I know what the next story is, which will make him go, "What?" But I don't know. I like watching Sam Neill. I like the Alan Grant character in Jurassic World, and that might just be enough for me. I'll be honest with you. This is the other thing. I don't think there'll be any kind of identity politics or any of that shit that we don't like in there. So that's a bonus straight away. So that's already appeals to me at a core level. And then you've got Alan Grant in it. You just need a talking dinosaur going, Alan.
But they're bringing back Ellie as well, aren't they? Isn't she meant to be turning up in it as well? I think they're bringing back
the three adults are supposed to be back. Yes.
Yeah, the three that are still alive that didn't get.
This is the fun thing. Hang on a second. Hold on a second. Yeah. If they do what they do, they will have done what Star Wars couldn't do. Got the three original back and probably have them in the same room. That's probably what they're basing it off of. This is probably Colin Trevorrow going, "Fuck you, Disney. Fuck you."
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. Look, I like Sam Neill, and the third Jurassic Park movie. There were certain things in that I did like. I liked seeing the Avery because that was a very much detailed scene in the book, but never made it into the film. So seeing that in the third film was good, and he did make the third film better. And I will give you that. So maybe you're right. Maybe. I'm just being cautious about it because I'm sorry, I really didn't enjoy the second one. I know Dave says it was good, but sorry, Dave, I didn't really like the second one. I really enjoyed Jurassic World, though. I thought Jurassic World was a really good film. I know it was kind of a rehash of the first one, but I liked Chris Pratt in it. I liked the sort of half training raptors stuff, which will, But the thing is now. I watched that and loved it, but then I saw a robot chicken sketch, and I cannot get that sketch out of my head. Where you've got a gay velociraptor choreographer, and it's like one velociraptor, two velociraptor, and he's like each one jumps out like that, and then he's like third velociraptor, and this like the third one doesn't come out. It's like third velociraptor, and he gets in a frozen right tizzy because the third velociraptor can't get the timing right. And every time I watch Jurassic World now, that fucking sketch is in my head.
Okay.
Never seen it. Look up Robot Chicken Velociraptor. It's very, very funny.
Okay, Dave's been very active in the comments, and I think we should acknowledge them.
Acknowledged.
No, Nigel. Actually, please stop pressing buttons, Nigel. Press buttons. Nigel, press the buttons, please, so we can see the comments. Thank you.
Oh, all right. I'll acknowledge it a different way. There you go. Do you want me to read it?
I can't read it on my screen. I'll
read it out for you.
I need to clean my glasses. Hold on a second.
You can tell he's an author. He has written an essay. Right.
No, he's written 3 little ones.
3 little ones. Jurassic Park was a good movie. Would have been better if they'd modelled it more in the book. Agree. But it's still a legendary movie to grow up with. I did like the book. Yeah, it was different to the movie. But yeah.
It's more than that. It marked a turning point in Hollywood history because it's what created modern effects. All CGI, like modern CGI, everything that you see with Creature came because of this movie. It was all developed for this film.
It became popularized as a difference.
No, but a lot of the technology was developed pure for this film.
Most of that technology already existed. The stuff that they did invent, they didn't use.
Not quite. I mean, Lord of the Rings arguably created a lot of technology, but yeah, Jurassic Park was a turning point in special effects. It relaunched ILM. It really did.
Okay. Shall I finish the comment now? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
The Lost World would have been better if they based it off the book. Jurassic Park 3 was just unnecessary. That was the one where they went into New York or something, wasn't it? They transported.
No, that's the one in Back to
Lost
the
World.
Island. That was the one that was the makeup one. That's what I saw that as. Is in look, you missed all the shit from books and from the other films and stuff. We'll just make it up and add it in. That's what it looked like to me.
That's what Jurassic Park 3 did.
Jurassic Park 3, the one where they're going paragliding or something.
Yes.
And then they break off and
they land on
they find the kid
island. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Too many to keep track. Right. Okay. Jurassic Park 3 was just unnecessary because of that. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Spinosaurus was the only good thing about the movie.
Apart from the T-Rexes would have teamed up on Spinosauruses. I watched that documentary.
Yeah. First Jurassic World movie was good. He agrees with me. The second one was good. I can't actually remember it that well. Is that where they went back and everything was ruined?
No, this is Jurassic World now.
Oh, Jurassic World.
This is Chris Pratt first.
Jurassic World 2 was where the island was blowing up, and then they brought all the dinosaurs over into a house, and now they've escaped. And there's a little short. Colin Trevorrow released a movie short last year. It's available on YouTube. It's about 10 minutes long of these couples camping in a thing, and then suddenly something big comes along, which they weren't quite expecting because the dinosaurs are out now.
Yeah, he kind of felt they simply showcased some of the dinosaurs rather than going into specific details. It's a good movie though. Yeah, Jeff was underused in Jurassic World 2. The laser sight concept in Jurassic World 2 was just weird. The Dilophosaurus, whichever way, in Jurassic Park was scientifically inaccurate. So was my pronunciation of the word. They should have brought me to, they should maybe have got somebody to advise them at least. Sam Neill was good in Horizon. I agree with Keith CGI's first using Jurassic Park and Terminator 2.
Yes, but if you watch
The Abyss.
Yes, The Abyss, and actually the first one it was used in was Young Sherlock Holmes.
There's a difference between what do you call it? Using it and popularizing it. It did popularize it.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what stuff they got. Most of the stuff they had, stuff that they invented, which they didn't use, which is the Ray Harryhausen stop motion stuff that they were going to use to animate the dinosaurs, which is just ditched.
Yes, but they then went 100% CGI because basically before Jurassic Park, you saw they used the water tentacle and the water effect in Terminator 2 and the Abyss, and before that, Young Sherlock Holmes, where you had because they were being drugged by that. I can't remember the movie that well, but a stained glass guy comes out of the stained glass, and that was all CGI. But it was the first time, Jurassic Park was the first time they managed to get living, breathing CGI creatures where you could see the muscles moving under the skin, and they invented all of that for this movie. All the code when the animals move.
I don't think they did.
They did.
I don't think they did.
I've watched hundreds of documentaries on this.
I've watched documentaries too. I've also watched documentaries where they turned around and said they claim to have invented this, but we had this beforehand, so they bought it as what's referred to as middleware. Yeah, and you have middleware that then fills in all those gaps. It's like with computer games where you have middleware for grass and for sky and for lakes and for those things. So they use like middleware. It's the cake thing. Yeah, they didn't invent chocolate chips, but they may have invented the arrangement of the cake.
Okay.
What do you mean you haven't seen The Abyss?
Jesus Christ! Actually, right. If you're going to watch The Abyss, Dave, make sure you see the director's cut version, because the cinematic one makes no sense.
I don't really know it either, to be honest.
Okay.
Oh, fucking hell.
Fucking hell, Nige. Right, let's move on to the next.
Don't know you guys.
Damn right you are. At least you're not seeing Keith.
Yeah.
Okay. Keith. Right, let's move on to our next one, which is I saw this. There's so little movie news out. When you see someone promote a film promotes zombies and sharks, like peas and cheese to get cheesy peas, and they say zombie sharks and they fly.
And it's not just that. They're
And it's from.
Nazi.
Right, if you've
They're
seen,
Nazi.
hang on a
zombie
second.
shark.
Have you seen the film Iron Sky?
Yes.
Right, Iron
One
Sky.
and two.
This is in the Iron Sky universe.
Well, that's what I was going to say. This looks very like Iron Sky. Is this Iron Sky?
This is from the Iron Sky universe. I'm gonna pop it on here.
Now it's beginning to make more sense.
We won't play the audio because we've been hit with so many freaking claims and stuff recently. I'm having too much fun chopping out chunks of the podcast online. But the Nazis that were based on the moon have come back from the moon and are trying to take over the planet by utilizing zombie sharks, which they have enabled to fly and go invisible. To prowl the skies and attack people.
So is this a sequel? Is this a?
I don't know. It's
a third movie?
I don't know. It's a spin-off, Keith. It's not. It doesn't. It's no importance. It's like Sharknado. Is it 1, 2, or 3? No one gives a shit about that.
Iron Sky 1 and 2 are actually quite good movies. They're really good fun. Iron Sky 2 is great because they've got the cult of Steve Jobs, which is hilarious because they don't get blown up. It's really funny.
Even that bit.
And then Hitler riding a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I mean, come on.
Are you sure that wasn't Kung Fury?
No, that's because they're all aliens, aren't they? And that's what transpires in Iron Sky 2. That they're alien.
There's 3 Iron Sky films. You sure it's not the third one?
No, there's 2 Iron Sky.
Okay. Anyway, in one of them, I remember they turned the black guy white.
Yes.
Which I found hilarious.
Yes, they did.
But it's just, someone went, do you know what's scary? What, sharks? Do you know what's also scary? Flying. And what else is scary? Zombies. So if we get all 3 together and we mix them,
add Nazis in.
Make the Nazis do it because we can kill as many and we can do horrible things.
I've been playing a lot of COD recently. Nazi COD, like zombie mode.
Nazi COD.
So let's whack that in a film.
Yeah.
Dave reckons that looks like Neptune from the Resident Evil remake game. No idea what you're on about, Dave. Do you know?
Oh God, there's so many seabound creatures. I don't remember the names. All I remember is the shark in the tank in the building in the bottom of the first one's basement. Then you had the one in Revelations that attacks the side of the boat, which you have to take it down with a minigun from a helicopter. There's loads. There's too many to remember.
Did you know that the Nazis tried to resurrect the extinct Uroks or Aurochs as they saw it as a superior species of cattle? Is that some sort of? Oh no,
that isn't that. Hang on a second. That is the first one. That is on that. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. It's not the one at the end of Revelations. Uruk. I have no idea what Uruk is. Dave will have to explain to us on Wednesday when we're streaming.
Yeah,
as long as you're willing to explain about the spider that bites you and gives you a painful erection till you die. Is it a traveling spider or something along those lines? That's a terrible way to go. Died of an erection caused by a spider. Anyway,
what a way to go.
All right, so we've got. This is want to. Thank you, Nigel. I was waiting. It's not very. Oh man, Nigel. Right. Anyway, mate, I loved the Judge Dredd film with Carl Urban. It was really really good.
Not seen it.
All right, fucking hell. Now you're doing it.
I've done a Keith. Sorry, carry on.
Jesus Christ, it's all right. Look at this. Right. Oh, fucking hell.
Team Keith.
Anyway, there's a. Anyway, the guy who was responsible for it wanted a sequel, but he couldn't do a sequel because there were issues with doing a sequel. Had trouble getting hold of the rights, this, that, and the other. And during the pandemic, right? During the pandemic, right? All right. During the pandemic, they tried to sort some bits out. So they've managed to get funding. It looks like they've managed to get funding and they've managed to get bits to get it sorted. And I can't concentrate. I can see these lunatics here laughing as I've taken off stream. Annoyingly, you'll hear them on the podcast. Basically, they're ready to go with the thingy. So let's just move on to the next story because clearly they don't care, and we can go and talk about Lord of the Rings. And Keith then can interrupt me when we're talking about Lord of the Rings.
No,
Right.
Judge
So-
Dredd, wasn't there? They announced a TV series about a year.
They did announce a TV series, but we're talking about Lord of the Rings now. So now the new Lord of the Rings film can continue filming in in New Zealand because they've managed to control the beer bug in a more sensible fashion, and looks like it will be starring Galadriel, Elrond, and Sauron, which is much better than that, because I've lost it, man. I've absolutely lost it now. My mojo, it's all fucking gone. You've killed it. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so I don't know what happened there.
Don't know. Thought we were having a fun podcast, but okay. So apparently it's going to feature those guys. I don't know who it was meant to be featuring before.
It's meant to be it's focusing on sort of before The Hobbit. So it was Numenor, something like that. You know where what's his face? The guy who was king. I'm not good at character names and I can't remember, but the guy that ends up being king. He lived. Viggo Mortensen's character. He lived longer than what man live. So he lived. They had like extended lives, and it was meant to feature or talk about that when they, or at least that was the rumor, was how their kingdom fell, the fall of Numenor or something like that.
So not
that's
Aragorn.
what it was initially.
It's before
Aragorn. Yes, that's it. But Aragorn was of a race of men that had extended lives.
I thought it was a race of man, wasn't he? Or was he not?
Yes, but they had extended lives because when you watch those three movies, I don't know if it was in the cinematic ones, but they do talk about it in the extended editions, where he is of a he comes from the I can't remember the Numenor something. Numenor, there it is. It's on there. I'm probably not pronouncing it correctly, but that was what it was meant to feature. Now Sauron comes into that, as does Galadriel, as does all of the characters.
Isn't it supposed to be set in like the first or second age?
Yeah, which was when the fall of Numenor.
Not the third age where Lord of the Rings was set.
Yeah, but the fall of Numenor was, I think, in the second age.
Because Aragorn.
No, but Aragorn. I wasn't saying that. But Galadriel's thousands of years old, as is. You're
talking about Aragorn's ancestor who broke the sword, cut the ring, took the ring, turned into an arsehole in the prequel.
Yes, but Aragorn was a member of. He wasn't just standard race of men. He was of the Numenor because he hadn't extended a life. He was like 100 and something years old when we first see him in Lord of the Rings. So he was man, but he was granted extra life, or an extended life. So they would live for about 200 to 300 years. And this was meant to focus on the second, I think it's the second age, and the fall of Numenor. That this is what it was. So the kingdom of Numenor was nice men, if you like, but they became corrupted. And the kingdom eventually fell.
They got corrupted with the power of the ring when they took it from, is it Sauron?
I think it's prior to this. I think it's meant to be prior to this. So I think Gareth is right.
The long and the short of it is they're bloody filming. It's supposed to be set in the second age. So you see all those people beforehand. So you get to see Sauron before he becomes Sauron. He has another name. I can't remember what his name is. And then there's Morgoth, that's Sauron's boss, who is the big bad of the first.
Is that the Eye? Oh no, that's the Eye of Sauron.
No, that's the Eye of Sauron. But Sauron had a teacher the same way that Palpatine had a teacher in Star Wars, and his teacher was Plagueis. Sauron's teacher was a guy called Morgoth, and then he'll be one of being the big bad. And then you'll see, if you do it right, you should see Sauron develop and get those bits for the rings and put stuff together, and then set up pretty much the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And that's what it is. But the long and short of it is they're filming it. We should be getting the other characters in there. Christ knows if they're going to get the actual actors to play those parts, which will be interesting when we get to find out. Anyway,
the same actors.
No,
That'll be interesting.
I might get Hugo Weaving, and that's probably about it.
They might get Kate Blanchett because isn't she doing TV series these days? She was in something recently on the Beeb. Something.
I have no idea.
I haven't watched it.
No, I have no idea.
She's doing.
But Hugo Weaving's, has homes and stuff in Australia, so I don't know. Kate Blanchett, I haven't seen fuck all of her, so I don't know what she do.
Yeah, I suppose, like you say, they live for thousands of years or whatever. So as long as they get her looking similar to what she did in the film, it won't matter really. She doesn't have to look younger, does she?
Okay, all right. Let's move on to our next TV story, which is I don't know if you guys seen this trailer.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've seen this trailer. Okay. All right. This is the Truth Seekers. Nick Frost and Simon Pegg team up as a group of paranormal investigators. With a website, and they've got loads of gadgets and shit like that to try and get things done. What I find amusing is that I think it's Nick Frost's dad is Malcolm fucking McDowell, which you can see briefly. There he is in the trailer going up the stairs.
And he hasn't eaten the digestives. No.
No. It looks interesting because I've been watching Skinwalker Ranch, and Skinwalker Ranch is it's terrible fucking supernatural TV, and it's garbage. So I like this sort of TV because I like picking it apart. Some fucking obvious bits. It's dust in front of the camera lens and stuff like that. And then the other, oh god, on Skinwalker Ranch. Now when you have that, when you shine a light in a lens, it has that lens flare. Yeah, it's a lens flare. So if you point at one side of the lens, the reflection happens on the other side of the lens, especially if it's something bright like the sun or a laser or something along those lines. Well, in Skinwalker Ranch, they were going, "Oh my god, there's two of these laser things." It's the lens, mate. You can't see it with your eyes, but you can only see it on the camera. It's the lens on the camera. I could prove it, and I actually did prove it the other night with my phone. But yeah, do you want to go through some of the comments, Nige?
I quite like that Truth Seekers one. I like Nick and Simon Pegg as a pair. They do very well together. They've done some very good films, and obviously, what was that program they started with? Spaced, yeah, and it just went from there. There was a great bit. They had Nick Frost on a radio station. And they were talking about a film they just released called Hot Fuzz at the time, and he was being quizzed about Spaced, and I think he was in Spaced. His character was some sort of gun nut or something, military nut. And while he was practicing something to make it look convincing for filming, and he said he was sat there in his front room, curtains open and stuff. He was sat on the floor, curtains open, and he had a blindfold on. And for a scene, he has to not dismantle, put together a gun, an AR, together.
It was an AR and MP5.
Yeah, an MP5 together. And so he's practicing by himself in his front room, blindfolded, and someone called SWAT on him because they thought, what the fuck is he doing? He's like a nut. And he's there blindfolded, and the police have bust down his door in the front room with rifles pointed at him, and he sat there, he was about to do it again, and they said if he reached for the gun, he would have been shot. But he took the blindfold off and went, what the hell is going on here? Someone called the cops on him, basically, for practice. He got so good. So, yeah, anyway, that was a little tidbit I heard from Nick Frost. Keep mixing the names off. Names up. So, just popping back to Dave, our resident commentator. Dave reckons that Sauron origin story is needed. Hugo Weaving was good in the original trilogy. He was he Elrond? Am I misthinking? Yeah. And then bring back giant elephants from Return of the King. I kind of remember them.
Yeah,
but
they're like Southerners that brought the elephants with them. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
So
they're in Tomb of the King.
okay, let's move on to our next one. We've got our Halo story from last week, where we looked at the Halo trailer and we weren't impressed. Now, they've admitted they've got work to do, but I watch a channel populated by nerds called Digital Foundry, and they're the ones who go over the frame rates. Oh, the frame rate dipped when they turned and they looked at the building. They do this really, really in-depth number crunching analysis on how well games behave. And they said that one of the problems with Halo's trailer that we watched was the lighting was all wrong. And what you find with most games is you have what they refer to as baked-in lighting. So they've already calculated all the lighting and stuff from another game engine, and then they've gone and put it into, for example, they showed The Last of Us, and you can see it because the lighting's not quite right. And they showed it also with Death Stranding. And there is detail on that gun which you can't see because of the lighting. And there's an example when they see the guy turn, the sun catches the top plate where it's got the display, and you can see fingerprints on and around the outside quite clearly. But because the lighting's so poor, you can't see any of the fucking details on anything else. So I reckon it's been put aside because the Xbox One version will have the baked-in lighting, and the X series will have its ray tracing, so have that really kind of cool lighting in it. So it's going to be interesting to find out, but they have acknowledged there's a problem and they are acknowledged they're working on it. What they need to acknowledge is the fact that some facial animations and bits are missing. The example is when they got attacked by one of the brutes, and it's got a big old gorilla face coming at you, and it's just like blank. So, what are you doing? I don't know. Could we do anything? All right. So yeah, that was that one for the Halo story, and then we got the.
When you can I ask when you with this definitely getting an Xbox One release, right?
Definitely for the next 2 years, there are no genuine exclusives on the Xbox X series.
That's still true, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the problem.
So do you reckon the trailer? But they were trying to show off. Was the point of this Xbox event to show off gameplay on the Xbox X, or was that to
As
show...
I said to Nigel, the point of that thingy was they weren't selling you the Xbox X series. They were selling you Games Pass. Yeah, that's what they were doing. Because all the stuff that you saw in that trailer, you get on Game Pass. So for me,
So
I've got Game Pass.
what is Games? What is Game
It's
Pass?
a subscription service. That is it's like Netflix for games.
But download.
No, what I was going to say is it's not like Xbox Gold. This is separate.
No,
to
they're
your
getting rid of
Xbox Gold
Xbox. They're going to get rid of Xbox Gold. It's just going to be Game Pass. Because at the moment,
how much does that cost you?
£10 a month. So roughly the same as Netflix.
I think it's unlimited how many games you download, right?
Well, there's a limit to how many games they've got. But the annoying thing is, I was talking to Nigel about this, that Sony have got their version of it, which is PlayStation Now, with downloadable and streamable games on it, which you can get now, and they've got more games. I think they've got more downloadable games, with the exception of the older stuff, which is streamable. But they've got more. There's more choice there, and Sony aren't tooting their horns about it, and they should be pushing it because Microsoft are pushing it. A few tweaks here and there, and they can piss all over them with these.
So why don't you think do you think because they haven't got these exclusives, is that why they're just not seem to be heavily showing off the Xbox X, or is there other
it's like what I said. Like I said, the backwards compatibility on games only really matters for the first 18 months to 2 years of their life, because you haven't got enough games out in the ecosystem for you to enjoy. So you want to go back and play some of your old games, or pick up those games that you've missed. Sony seem to have picked up on it, and Microsoft have picked up on it, but they're like kind of want you to gradually move over to it. Apparently, they've stopped making the Xbox S series and the S series digital. I don't know if they've stopped making the Xbox X series. I need to find fucking better names.
I've been looking on Amazon up until the announcements where they said that they're going to stop production of the Xbox One series, Xbox One S and X. They're no longer available to buy brand new on Amazon now.
Okay.
So I think that's pretty much true. They're just unavailable to buy. It's all it's only secondhand sellers now on Amazon who have them in stock. Amazon themselves are not selling it. I think they're just gearing up to, for new gen, next gen.
Yeah, I think that might be what they just closed the market off in terms of sales and stuff. It's weird because PS3 didn't stop making the PS3s until like 5 years after PS4 came out. So yeah, that's an odd one. But when it comes to
PS4, actually, I was thinking about PS4. I should have checked PS4. I think they might not be. This might be Amazon's decision to not sell them.
No, it's not. It's Microsoft has stopped making them.
I know Microsoft definitely stopped making them. I don't know about.
So they can't. Selling new ones is a little difficult when your supplier has gone. No, mate, stop making them. What do you mean stop making them?
I have noticed in when I went to town.
But surely there's surplus stock or sorry, Nige.
Yeah.
So in town, I was looking around at the Xbox One S, and the pre-owned ones have gone up in price now.
Excellent.
Because they're being made.
Okay. All right. So then we've got. Babster. We've also got the UI on the PlayStation 5. What they're planning on doing is having the UI interface when you press the PlayStation button or you hold it down, you get that side menu come up to integrate with the games, so they become more kind of game-like in regards to all of this stuff, which is.
So take on the appearance of the game, sort of thing.
Yeah. So it has like theming based in games. There's probably other things that they plan to do with it, but it's So it's like kind of what do you call it? Games can be integrated into the operating system itself, so you get theming, I imagine. So we get the PlayStation themes at the moment. You'll get similar things in that, right? So yeah, that'd be interesting. Also, you've heard about these side panels, haven't you? These side panels apparently are removable. So those big white are removable, so you can pop them off and pop on new ones, and pick whatever color you like. Apparently,
that also means that blue light that goes around the black bit there, if that is changeable.
I'm not sure about the blue light.
I don't know. But
panel, I've seen people pop the panels off.
But knowing Sony, it'll go white when the game loads up, because you know how like they always used to like picture everything with the blue light, but the blue light never stays on. So like the PlayStation 4, every time you saw a picture, it was with the really cool blue light. But when you actually load into a game, it goes white and it's boring. So for all you know, that light's going to go. That's just the loading light, like all the other bloody things. Same with the Wii U as well.
When you go rest mode, it's yellow. So
yeah, it's a con. It should be blue light when it's powered up and on, because blue lights are cool. And it's not. It'll go white like the other one. But changeable panels. I mean, that was quite popular on the 360.
What you mean, express on front cover? Yeah.
Yeah, because you used to get you used to get them in. If you bought the deluxe version of the game, you get one thrown in for free and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was a bit wank on the 360. I'm glad they got rid of it when they upgraded the console. But okay, cool. So let's go on to our reviews, and Keith and I are going to talk about Warrior Nun.
Are we?
Yes, we are going to talk about Warrior Nun.
Are you about to take a massive dump on it? Aren't you?
From the side of a fucking mountain. Okay, so the first thing I want to say about Warrior Nun, I am really glad that Jurgen Klopp got to do something while at the downtime during the COVID, because he's Liverpool football manager, couldn't manage any teams, but managed to star in Warrior Nun. And you know the guys, right? So you haven't watched it. The priest in Warrior Nun looks like Jurgen Klopp with round glasses.
Okay, Googling.
I thought he'd get. I put a special football joke in there for him. I thought he'd get it. No. Anyway, I watched it. It was special effects for the demons, a bit wanky. Needed a bit of work considering it was a Netflix series and very expensive. The only one, the Wraith things look quite good, but then again, it's just red mist at the end of the day. So design-wise, not that difficult. All right, just run the simulation. Everything will be fine. The twist about the what do you call it? The bad angel.
Angel.
I kind of spotted a mile away. I thought it would be Lilith that would have done it, not the priest. But I knew the priest was dodgy. But I didn't know the priest was dodgy in the way that he was dodgy. I thought he was in league with the Arctech company. There's reference. Newtonian and quantum physics are two different fucking things. Newtonian physics, when it comes to the shape and mechanism of the universe, is like a clock. Yeah, it's like a clock, a mechanical clock with the cogs and everything in place. Where quantum physics is like a clock made of water and gas that doesn't quite fit any shape and exists and stops existing. Okay, they're two different things. Stop putting the word.
Where was this quoted? I don't even remember where this was quoted.
You didn't watch it then. Right? You cannot put the word fucking quantum in front of anything, especially when you put quantum next to Newtonian. All right. That shit drives me wild. It really does. Just say quantum and leave it alone, or say Newtonian and leave it alone, but don't mix the two. Not done. It's like crossing the streams. It's fucking Ghostbusters. So you've got that. That was a bit that really grated on me. It was the bit where they were talking. They were going through the history of the nuns, and they got to one of the nuns in the Second World War, and it's like kind of, oh no, she was sent to the concentration camps in the Second World War. Huh, where was that? Yeah, they didn't just execute Jews. And it's like, yes, they then execute the next biggest group of people were political prisoners. Then after that, it was, what do you call them? Romany gypsies and stuff like that. So yes, we know that. We know that Nazis are bad. We don't need to tell us that Nazis are bad. For fuck's sake, this is getting tiring and actually really irritating. And then, this is the bit, this grated on me. This is when I think I sent you a message saying this is fucking me off. The nun, right? The nun. Right, put that. We'll hold that parenthesis and we'll put that up in the side corner. The nun, yeah, then comes out as gay and gets upset. The nun, darling. I hate to tell you, but when you joined the whatever it is, the nunnery or whatever I'm gonna call it, when you joined your order, yeah, you gave a vow of fucking abstinence. So you would never have sex with anyone ever again. Why the fuck are you worried? Seriously, for God's sake, it's part of your job not to have sex. Or to think about it.
I don't think she was talking about sex. I think she was talking more about the fact that she was a lesbian.
Doesn't matter. She's never going to have sex with anyone because she's a nun.
True.
The rules. That's the role of being a nun. Like it is the role of being a monk. That really grated my gears because it was like they could have done it really well and really subtly by not saying anything. Yeah? By not just her getting a bit upset and not quietly contemplating. So you filled the gaps in yourself, which made it a bit more interesting. But they had to spell it out in the most obscene and stupid way. You're a nun, darling. You're not having sex. You should be having these thoughts. You should be thinking about killing fucking demons. Yeah, I know what they're trying to do. They were trying to go for the Buffy Willow kind of thing, yeah? She was I'll be honest with you, that character was irritating as it was anyway, along with, Mary Shotgun, fucking resting bitch face. That was a character I wanted to get run over by a bus. I was really hoping that they die. And then you got the Lilith character, who's also got resting bitch face.
Yeah, but she is meant to be a bitch, and so towards the end, though, her character's interesting because you don't know where that's going.
Completely fucking wrong. We did not industrialize it to the point that we're doing millions. Okay. Sorry, Dave just written a big fucking essay and got it wrong. Fucking hate that shit. Anyway. So we had that. That was that. And then you've got the woman who's running the ARC facility, the blonde lady who can't decide whether she's British, American, or Dutch or Swiss, depending on how she's feeling. And her son, Michael, who's not her son. Yeah, I can't have children. This angel managed to creep in to our dimension and creep out. And if you know anything, Michael's the one that's supposed to fight the devil. Yeah, Michael the one with the circles. Dante wrote it, and I can't remember what it is. Michael's the one that's supposed to fight the devil.
Isn't Michael Lucifer's brother?
Yes. They're all brothers.
Do we think
and angels. Yeah. So the other guy's not Lucifer, though. He's probably one of the 7 that's fallen, because there's 7 that fell including Lucifer. So he's probably one of the 7 that fell, and is probably then in turn betraying Lucifer and the others. So you probably got Lucifer and that lot to come across. So you got Abaddon, Leviathan, and all those kind of creepy bastards to come across, which will be much more exciting than what we've got. So we got that, and then it's just like it went all wanky. And then there's bits where they're trying to sell us the Vatican, and I've been to the Vatican, and they're trying to sell us the Vatican from the courtyard of some other building, which is probably some university building. And you're looking at it going, that's not fucking Vatican. That's no way the Vatican. The inside bits they got fine. I kept on doing the thing when whatever it was, Cardinal, I'm going to call him Cardinal Richelieu because I can't remember his name. When Cardinal Richelieu, it got pronounced Pope, yeah. And at the moment he came out, I went, "Who the Pope? I'm the Pope." Because that made me laugh. And it's like every time we walked into, "Who the Pope? I'm the Pope." And then you had the thing with Mother Superior, and my computer's just died.
No, you're still here. We can hear you.
I can't see shit, guys.
Okay, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but the connection still must be open, but it's just died. Can I do something to bring it back? Thank you very much. Right. So yeah. What do you call it? It just kind of started falling. It started falling apart, and the twist at the end, and it was just there was like the priest who did portray him at the end. I liked the cardinal. I liked as a villain. The Mother Superior I liked as a villain, but the nuns around her, the direct supporting characters. God's sake, could you just fuck off? You just irritate the fuck out of me. Yeah, it's like kind of there's the woman with the shotgun that she.
Shotgun Mary. She's called Shotgun Mary.
Resting bitch face Mary, we'll call her. And then you got resting bitch face Lilith and resting.
But
bitch
she's
face
not a nun.
Lesbian.
She wasn't not a nun. But... Shotgun.
Yeah. But she just started irritating me. It's annoying because I liked everything apart from those bits, and it just got to the point where it's like kind of, what are you doing?
I think you're meant to be irritated by Lilith. So when Lilith comes back at towards the end, you don't know what she is or what side she falls on. You still don't know what side she falls on, which I kind of quite like. I quite like that being slightly... I mean, she obviously has demon powers because she managed to, create the thing. But I think it's going much deeper than that. My thoughts are they're about to do what we've had ideas about, where they switch the whole heaven and hell thing on its upside down, whereas in actually demons might not be as bad as you think, kind of thing, and angels and everything else are not as good as you think. They already
did that in Supernatural.
Yes, I know, but
they did that in Supernatural, and they did it a lot better actually, because they spent ages fighting demons, yeah. And you're like, oh, these guys are assholes. And then angels turn up, and they're bigger assholes.
Well, in theory, they did it in Babylon 5 as well, to an extent.
No, they didn't. They were playing with it. It wasn't like this. It wasn't done this kind of.
No, they were. Yeah, but back then, you couldn't get away with it as much as you could now. I mean, when what's his face, Kevin Smith's film came out, the amount of protests out there. Although, if you ever watch the DVD extras, there's a news. Besides, I love this. Just
there weren't that many protests for Kevin Smith. There weren't that many people watching a Kevin Smith film.
Dogma was quite popular at cinema, but there was a news,
three crowds of 20 people, totaling 60.
Dogma did quite well. Dogma was a success, but on the DVD, if you've got the DVD or the Blu-ray of Dogma, there's a bit where one of the special features is a news article showing all these protesters, right? And it's going along the queue of all these people protesting. And it gets to Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes protesting their own fucking movie because they were bored. And it was on a genuine news thing. And it's the fucking director and one of the stars of the film protesting. And none of these fucking people had a clue. Anyway, I digress. Going back though, look, it depends on how much you look into this. I thought it was just a bit of fun. I didn't really take it too seriously.
Did you say that this is a TV show that didn't take itself seriously?
No, I don't think it did. I think it owned its absolute absurdity, and that's what it is. It's an absurd TV
No, it
program.
didn't. It took itself deadly fucking serious, and I think that was the problem.
I don't think it did. I think it knew what it was, and I think it thinks it knows it's absurd, and it's still. I mean, come on, it's got terminologies like in there, like warrior nun and sister warriors, and things like that. It knows it's absurd. Come on, some of the terminology in that show. Come on. It didn't take itself. I think it owned its absurdity, and I found it fun. There were bits that irritated me. The boyfriend in the early part irritated me. I didn't see the point in the millennials fucking stealing people's homes thing. That was almost an entirely pointless plot. But I liked the urban clock.
Gender person.
Yes, and the urban clock. I did like that. The vicar, the priest, sort of twist at the end. I find Lilith very irritating, but you're meant to.
No, you're not. You're supposed to be.
Yes, you are.
No, it's not different. No. Little sisters are supposed to be irritating. Yeah, she was supposed to be sinister.
Well, she's meant to be a power-hungry bitch at the beginning, which she is. And she goes off after what's her face. With a bit too much mirth in the beginning of the thing, so you learn to hate her and stuff. But then when she comes back, you don't know which way she falls, and I thought that was quite interesting. I enjoyed it because I thought it was a bit of fun. I enjoyed the final couple of episodes because maybe I wasn't paying enough attention, but I didn't really see the twist coming. When I went back and watched some of it again, I was like, yeah, okay, now I do see where they were hinting at that. Especially when you first see the first sort of flashback where you see the angel give the halo. That was a bit too holy, and that was kind of a clue because every other flashback you saw was all blood and guts, except that one where it was a bit kind of 1950s, 60s sort of fucking religious movie moment, and that was kind of a hint that this is all bullshit. But the show has a massive go at the Catholic Church every 5 minutes, which makes me think this isn't quite what we think it is.
No, hang on. With current day sensibilities, having a go at the Catholic Church is now brave and stunning. No, it's not. It's the norm. Okay, ow. If you're not been paying attention,
I thought
city's on fire. If you've not been paying attention,
it has digs here and there. But I enjoyed it.
Right, hang on a second. If it was really controversial, it'd be having digs at Muslims or the Chinese.
Yeah. I know. Okay, I know it's chic to have a go at the Catholic Church these days, but I don't know.
Since like 2005, it's been okay.
It's too funny, but I enjoyed it, but I do see why you might get irritated with certain scientific tone. By the way, I actually finally got round to watching, because there was really nothing on, X-Men Dark Phoenix. Don't watch that, because that opening scene will irritate the living fuck out of you. Especially when they open up the space shuttle and they can all still breathe in outer space. I was watching that going, oh, this would piss Gareth off. This would probably fucking piss him off.
Okay, let's move on to the Umbrella Academy. This is annoying because I liked 5/7 of this really well. First things first, yeah. Before we go anywhere, Ellen Page apparently is about 33 years old, but she's got a receding hairline that can compete with me and Nigel. And she has. If you look at her hairline, it is fucking receding at 33 and being a woman, which I couldn't help noticing all the way through. And it was just one of those things. Every time she's on screen, I'm looking at her fucking hairline. Like, probably because I'm so concerned about my hairline. But I watched it, and the 5. I've come to the conclusion is if the kid that plays 5 could be the next Doctor Who, because he does everything. He has that kind of that Doctor Who mentality. He talks. He has the planning kind of it. He has his sinister side to him. He has that kind of funny, kind of quippy side to him, where he's quite quick-witted and he's good at coming back. And I've just vibrated my mic. So you got that element of it. So the 5 storyline where he's dealing with the agency or what's it called? It's not the agency. It's like the agency, not the company.
The Time Bureau.
Commission?
Isn't it? No. Commission. That's it. Yes.
Yeah, commission.
Yes, I think
He's dealing with the commission. Really enjoyed the hell out of that. He works well with Diego. Diego's just dumb as fuck. No, he's not. He's not gone nuts. He's just thick. He's like gone back in time, yeah, and he thinks he's gone back in time to save President Kennedy, not realizing that he fuck with the timeline and caused the disaster. And he's so fucking determined because he's got this like hero mentality in his head that he's there to save President Kennedy. Doesn't see the bigger picture and the ramifications of everything he does.
That's pretty much what 5 said. Is it the barber person who 5 meets, who's been like taking all the pictures? And he said, or is it him or somebody else? Somebody asked 5 who he is, and he went, well, think Batman, but think shitter and dumber.
Yes, that's a brilliant line. I really like think Batman, but shitter. I fucking pissed myself with that line. That is a fucking brilliant line. I remember that line. Have you watched it all then?
I've watched it all. I've got through the whole thing.
So where
I've watched the whole thing as well.
Okay, so where are you now? Before we can, yeah.
I saw 5 and Diego. They'd gone staking out the HG sausage factory or whatever they've called it.
Umbrella
Their dad's factory. Umbrella
it's called
factory.
The Umbrella Academy because he makes umbrellas. It's not called the Sausage Academy. That would be like a porn thing. The Sausage Academy.
God knows what they were doing.
What's the Sausage Academy?
That poor monkey. I don't know what they were doing to it. And they were going through that place, finding it is just like an abandoned place that he just hires for God knows what reason. And I figured when I saw the monkey there, which is the butler later, isn't it?
Yes. Pogo.
Yeah, I thought he was actually keeping the monkey in that place and sort of training him up. But then a little bit further on, not much, but Diego follows him and gets stabbed and bleeding out everywhere. And that's all I saw.
Yeah, he gets shanked by his father.
Yeah.
Which is, but I mean,
but he doesn't know that.
He knows it's his father. His father doesn't know it's the son.
Yeah.
Yeah. But gee, I thought you were going to immediately jump on the wokeness in this.
Oh, no. 5/7 of it was fine because 5/7 of it was normal storytelling. 2/7 of it was woke bullshit. And the annoying thing is... I have a
counter argument. Right,
hold on a second.
One of the wokeness things bugged me, but I have a counter argument for the other one.
Right, so we've got the one that got me was the civil rights one. Yeah, because they could have had told a much better story and swapped Alison over for Klaus and put Klaus fighting for civil rights and Alison running the cult because you can tell everyone what to do. That would have worked. Yeah, and it would have been more interesting because it just turned into the... I've seen this story 20, 30 times. I'm a bit sick of it. And they didn't tell me anything. They didn't show me anything new at all.
But I don't know if they were trying to.
And it was crowbarred in there like a...
No, I don't know. See, I had an argument for the civil rights part of it because the comic... Alison is black in the comic.
No, she's white in the comic. Check again.
I thought she was black.
She's white in the comic.
All right. Well, look, she's black in the TV show. You can't send her back to 1963 and not fucking deal with that. Because you're sending her into Dallas in 1963, and it would have been very disingenuous not to show something on screen. So I don't know how woke that was. The thing that bugged me was Vala being a lesbian, because, okay, in the first season, they dress her like a lesbian, but she has a male relationship and shows no kind of, other than dressing like a lesbian, because she dresses in very masculine clothes and everything. They didn't touch on it. I felt that was far more crowbarred in because that is not in the comic.
I would have, you know, how I would have preferred the way to do it properly was to have it that the wife was a lesbian, but she wasn't. That would have been a great twist. She comes onto her and she turns, oh, I'm not like that. That would have worked better. I think that would have. I would have preferred that as a thing.
I think Alison, because Alison was already sort of worried about using her powers in the first series because of what she got caught using them on her daughter, and so she got turned off using them. So Alison's story throughout this kind of made sense. Yeah, you're right. Alison's story made sense. The fact that so the civil rights bit didn't bother me that much because I felt, well, if you're going to send it back to 1963 in the heart of Dallas, you've got to deal with it because that is what Dallas was like in 1963. It was. I felt the lesbian relationship was more crowbarred in the civil rights.
The way they presented it, I felt really bad for the dad.
Yes,
like he hadn't done anything wrong, but it was made to be
a bit of a dick.
Villain. Oh no, they did that. They put the dickness in there to make you not feel bad, because if it had had him say he was a loving father and he was really nice, you would have felt fucking horrible. I think that's what they should have gone for. They should have pushed that and gone,
Is that the fella who went to try and strike a business deal?
Yeah.
With
the showerhead salesman.
Yeah. But I'm trying to be very broad in what I say because I don't want to ruin it for you. But I felt the thing I loved about the first series is it nailed the quirkiness, and this didn't have quite as much quirkiness. I think it missed Char Char and what's his face,
Hazel,
because they were Hazel and Char Char, which I enjoyed. I felt she became the sort of evil lady became irritating, and I would have liked to have seen more of the fish guy. I just would have liked to have seen more of the smoking fish because I thought that was off the wall, batshit crazy. Like the talking, like Pongo in the first series. Okay, we get a Pongo origin here.
Pogo.
Cool.
Pongo. Who the fuck is Pongo?
I think the middle part of this was very damp, really, and it got good again towards the end. Interestingly, they go completely away from the comic at the end and jump forward to the next comic which hasn't been published yet. Although they've done that other Academy very differently to what it appears in the comic. Although the cube that you see in the top hand corner is at the end of the second comic volume. The cube is at the top. So because the third volume is going to be called Sparrow Academy, and you get introduced to them in the second volume of the comic. It's been a while since I've read it, but I remember seeing the cube, right? In of a picture of the Sparrow Academy, you see the cube, and then you see this cube when they all run in at the end. You see a cube. It's like, what the fuck is that about? Like his superpower is a cube. The interesting thing was, because this is not a spoiler, because they hint at it in the first one that the professor is an alien, because they kind of show you his home world with rockets taking off and everything. So it's like kind of obvious that's not Earth. I did kind of like it when he, the big sort of like kind of thing at the back, because and then
that was very Doctor Who.
Yes, it was.
I was expecting it to fart, but they moved that over to the temporal displacement.
Oh, that was brilliant. That the interaction between 5 and older 5, who's 14 days younger.
Right, you might want to plug your ears, Nigel, for this bit, because this is one of my we'll wave here. One of my favourite bits was the fact that when you saw 5, the older gentleman, and he went to the toilet, and he didn't really talk much until he got into the toilet and started talking to Luther, and then all of a sudden he turned into the actor did such a good job of mimicking the other guy. He turned into that. That was really good, and I love that. And Luther was actually quite good on it, because I thought he was quite bland, but he worked really well supporting wise. And next to someone on his own, he didn't seem to work, but when he was next to someone, he really worked. Klaus Klaus is the same character that guy played in the Misfits.
Yes.
He's literally exactly the same. They must have watched the Misfits and went, can we just get that guy and done with it? Easiest casting ever. But yeah, it was good. The forced lesbian thing that made me groan.
That bugged me more than the civil rights thing. I have to.
The civil rights one kind of, it was just the way it was. It was just, it felt really, really kind of ham-fisted in there, and it would have worked better if she just met the guy. They got married. They were trying to live a normal life and dealing with this stuff, but not getting involved because she couldn't get involved because of time travel, etc. That would have made more interesting, especially when people like Luther turn up on the lawn and say, I'm his brother, I'm her brother, and it's like kind of it's the biggest fucking white guy I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah, he doesn't question that at all, does he? Which I found that is kind of strange when he goes, but you're white. He never even questioned that. So that was odd. But I was, the minute I knew it was in 1963 and I'd seen the trailer, I knew they were going to touch on civil rights because you kind of have to, I think.
You don't have to, no. You don't have to.
Oh, I think you do.
No, you don't.
I think think this being 2020, had you not at least acknowledged it,
no,
you have a black character in Dallas in 1963. You do.
No, you don't.
If it had been in Washington or somewhere like that, they would have got away with it. But Dallas, 1963.
What's Dallas famous for in 1963?
The presidential assassination. But there was a reason why he was there. The reason he went there in the first place was to do with civil rights. That's why he was visiting Dallas. That part that's mentioned in this series is absolutely correct because Dallas was one of the worst states for it. So it kind of made I was expecting the civil rights bit. That's one. What I wasn't expecting was the crowbarred lesbian bit in because you already had Klaus being gay and you had that.
But what I find weird is that Klaus being gay just fits with the character really easily.
Yes, it does.
You look at the character; he's flamboyant and this, that, and the other, and he's a drug taker. And I'm not saying that gay people didn't really take drugs. That sounds really bad. But he's kind of he doesn't give a fuck, and that's what makes it interesting to watch.
Klaus being gay really never bothered me in the first series because it was just natural and obvious. Vanya being gay didn't make sense. It was like if you watch the first series and she's having. Go back and watch the first series, and you see that the relationship with the boyfriend, who turns out to be a dick, doesn't make sense when she's wearing what she is. And the character is not gay in the comic, I don't think. And Elaine Page is, and I keep thinking this is Elaine Page interjecting her own beliefs.
She doesn't.
The character.
Right, it's weird because if you look at the boys in it, and once one of the boys is in the boy characters are all kind of out there, slightly outlandish. Oh, don't you fucking dare go on me. Slightly outlandish kind of characters. Yeah, you look at Diego, look at Luther, look at that. What's his Mr. Gay one? You can see dead people and 5. They're all slightly exaggerated characters. Yeah,
even the father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even the father. Alison's a bit mute, but she still feels a bit more exaggerated than Vala. Ellen Page doesn't fit in it.
No,
I don't
because
think
the way. Sorry, it bugged me the way they dressed her in the first series. That's what bugged me. When she's wearing that suit, because in the comic I remember a picture of her being in a dress where she goes into the thing, but they purposefully dressed her like a lesbian and then gave her a relationship with a man, right? Whereas in this, she's more dressed normally. But she has a relationship with a woman, and it's not even addressed. It's not even mentioned that it's like, well, you're a lesbian now? Okay, fair enough. Something like that, just to acknowledge the fact that you were always a lesbian, that didn't make it feel like it was crowbarred in. That relationship was crowbarred in. It's not part of the comic. It's not part of the thing. And neither is the civil rights stuff, in fairness. But if you've got a black character and you, as I've said, you send her back there, you have to do something.
I think it would have worked better if she was running the cult and Klaus was trying to do, because usually Klaus just fuck up royally.
Yeah,
Would
I
have been
thought
more
Klaus
interesting.
being you can't process the Vietnam War because it wasn't until 1960. I did like Klaus's bit with the younger version of his boyfriend. The fact is, he still hasn't told anybody that he went back in time and had this entire relationship and was in the Vietnam War, and
Doesn't
he still
Five
hasn't told
know?
anyone. No, I don't think Five does know
I thought
because
Five
it's
was
never been.
responsible for it. Oh no, hang on a
No,
second. That was
because he
he got the box.
he escapes with the case and then inadvertently activates it on a bus. And then you see him, and then the next scene is him getting off a bus in Vietnam, where kissing the ground, saying "Thank God I'm back." And you don't know how he gets back. You don't see how he gets back, or you don't at first know he was fighting in the Vietnam War. It's like then the next episode gradually reveals what happened to Klaus. As I enjoyed this series, I think I'm in agreement with you about 5/7 of it, but I think it lost a bit of its quirkiness that gave it its charm in the first season.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah, that makes sense. It was yeah, I did find it interesting. It was well worth a watch. Just the civil rights thing is just because you just got so much of it, and it's when she makes the comment like kind of, oh, the guy's like thrilled because there's been a black president, yeah, and he's going on about that, and it's like, oh, and then she's like kind of, oh, we haven't quite got there, yeah, and it's like, yeah, because they sabotaged us. We were getting there, and everything was looking rosy, and we were nice and polite to each other, and now we just argue. Thank you, social media. Maybe I should go back in time and erase the idea of Facebook and Twitter and all these platforms. Just keep it so it's all separate, and every time someone just off them. Maybe that's what I should do. Okay, it was good. It's well worth a watch. You'll enjoy it. I did enjoy it. It was just some bits. The other thing that got me was the when Diego is in the lunatic asylum in Texas, Dallas, Texas, that he meets an English girl, an Indian English girl, in deep south of America in a mental institution. But then again, it's weird because I watched it and I was a bit fucked off about it. And then when we got towards the end and everything was explained, I was like kind of, it's just thick. And I was quite willing. The actress was quite a good actress for playing her. She couldn't do the physical bits because she couldn't run, because she was one of these people who runs like this.
Yeah. I think part of the reason the civil rights thing bugged on you is because it didn't touch upon Diego, who was a Mexican, who was also had less rights, which they didn't touch on. They just made it all about Black Lives Matter thing. And they didn't touch on the fact there was an Indian girl there as well, who again would have not been served because she was not white. And they didn't touch upon that. They just went with the cliche black thing. I will
Black
give you
actress
that
gets the civil rights story. As I said, they should have mixed it up. They should have made her the cult leader and Faust.
I don't disagree with you on that. I just don't think you could have gone back to 1963 and not touched upon it. That's all I'm saying. And that was my argument, because I knew that was going to bug you, and it did to an extent bug me. But I loved the final two episodes. I will say this: the final episode of this was better than the first series. It's a much bigger.
I have to rewatch the first series because I'm a bit.
I love the battle. I love the final two episodes of this, because you think it's going to be a carbon copy of the first series, and it's not quite. I won't, because Nigel's listening at the moment. I like the bits with Ben. I found that quite emotional. And I thought that was really well done. Really enjoyed that. I liked the bit where Vanya then speaks to Klaus afterwards and gives that bit of closure there. That was good. And look, it's left me wanting the third series, because I want to know what the fuck that cube is about. But I think we'll find that out before in the comic before we find out in the TV series. Because what is it, 18 months since season one? I had to watch all of season one again to remember it all. Yeah. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, because now this is totally not with the comic. This is completely gone off. It's bringing elements of the comic in, but it's doing something very different. It's using timey-wimey shit, whereas the comic didn't for this.
Okay. Bit. All right. So, What's the most embarrassing thing you could think of? You know, like caught doing something rude at like a big sports event, and they've got you up on the jumbotron, and it makes it onto national TV. There's also Google Maps too, which is full of these little comedy nuggets. And Google Maps catches a woman in an embarrassing position outside her home, and it's one of those ones where you go, "Oh my god, the timing, the absolute timing of this." So I don't know where this was. So look, so Google Maps, public form navigation, blah blah blah, from Great Wall of China. One eagle-eyed user was left in stitches as they came across a funny sight in the US, and it was kind of enough to start for bollocks. Look at the picture; it's funny. Woman trapped in fucking recycle bin.
I thought it was going to be somebody sunbathing sort of topless in their garden, because my sister's got a friend that was caught on Google Maps sunbathing topless in their garden. This was a few years ago. It's since changed, but
Yeah.
You know, when you Google Street View, you can tell it what year you want to look at.
Oh, does it go back?
Can you actually go back in time?
No, this was a satellite map, Nige, because she was sunbathing topless in the thing, and there's no houses around. She lived in a detached house.
There was
nobody that could see. But it was a drop-down view. It was a drop-down view.
I use it quite a lot for work. So you do Street View. If you're looking at a building, you go, "Oh, there's a fucking van in the way of that building. I can't see it," or whatever. On the top left, you can do it's a little button you can click, and you go, "Oh, I'll go back a year." And then if it's gone past twice, it'll have both pass-throughs, and you can move it back and forward, like so. You can sort of go back in time and see what the street looked like.
Never noticed that before. I'll have to check that out.
I know. I don't use Street Views enough. I'll be honest with you to have come across that function or need that function.
I use it for work if I'm scoping out a place where I've got to go visit. So I know where I'm going.
I'm similar. I'm similar. I use it for that especially around, when I'm going to certain places in Bangkok, so I recognise landmarks or things like that. But I've never noticed that before. I have to check it out.
Yeah, take a look, man.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's time we wrap this up and say goodbye.
Okay. All hail Team Keith. Bye bye. Oh, sorry. All hell. Thanks, Baxter. Quantum Team Keith.
Oh God, we're starting another one now.
No.
No.